A flintlock is a firearm from ye olden days, which uses flint striking ignition to fire. It's fallen out of fashion lately, mainly because it takes about 400 years to reload. The idea of trying to use one to kill several gods is pretty daunting, but I'd certainly rather take on that challenge than the far more terrifying one of being a Souls-like releasing less than a month after Shadow of the Erd Tree. Maybe this game deserves a 90 just for bravery? You play as Nor, an axe-wielding warrior trapped in a seemingly endless war with the living dead. She also meets up and teams up with Enki, a tiny fox thing that's also a god. Combat's about locking onto foes, dodging, blocking, and whacking them with your axe when you get an opening, as well as ideally pulling off a parry and dealing out some lovely retaliation straight after. So far, so Souls. But there's a welcome shot of Bloodborne in here too. You have a firearm on your hip that you can use to interrupt attacks. Ammo replenishes after executing a few melee strikes, bonus points for including Gears of War's active reload, which someday I'll make all shooters use by law. Defeating enemies, completing side quests, etc. earns you reputation, which can be spent on just about anything you'll need, and drops upon death, the usual Souls structure. There's also a smart system wherein a percentage of bonus reputation is increased steadily for executing attacks, dodging, and even sliding into battle. The percentage resets whenever you take a hit, but if you're playing perfectly, it can reward you with well over 100% of your earnings. A really nice idea. I wouldn't complain if that became a Souls-like staple. Overall, Flintlock's best bouts have enough spectacle to almost cover up a slightly stiff combat system. One with a parry window that's a little too generous on standard difficulty and a little too tight on higher difficulty. This isn't up to the standards of even pretenders to the throne like Lords of the Fallen, Lies of P, or this year's excellent Another Crab's Treasure. Voice acting is tonally inconsistent throughout too. Nor and her mentor figure give pared back, grounded performances that clash with the hammy NPC barks that sound like they're auditioning for a new Fable. One villain is so over the top that Platinum Games would likely ask them to dial it back a bit. I could probably overlook this if there were any decent characters, but this story is so impatient to get going that it doesn't take the time to introduce anyone properly. It does the classic dramatic character death intro trope, but with a character that we met literally a matter of seconds ago. Nor and Enki have arcs, but they feel rushed. The three major areas you explore aren't exactly memorable either, pretty sure, but also very fantasy setting 101, though how easily you gentrify them is entertaining. Seeking out treasures is actually good fun. Collecting materials to upgrade weapons is thankfully not a case of wasting several hours chopping down trees. Instead, you'll find a finite supply of materials you need through exploration, rewarding you for searching areas thoroughly, and with little of the challenge-free highlighting on the map that blights so many open world games. It lets the fun navigation powers take center stage, which frees me from tiresomely comparing it to Dark Souls every 4 seconds. Even if the game can be a little inconsistent with what can be climbed on and what will send Nor tumbling to her doom. You're left with a perfectly playable action RPG that's hard to recommend because it's all been done better elsewhere. Want a less harsh Souls? Play Another Crab's Treasure. Finished all of From Software's games and want more fantasy Souls-likes? Try Lords of the Fallen, or the already outstanding early access release of No Rest for the Wicked. I'll look back on Flintlock's sky-hopping, clever percentage system, and Bloodborne riffing shooting with a smile, but otherwise it's a bit of a misfire.